everyone. My name is Rodney Smith. I'm here with BoardGameGeek at Gen Con 2019. I've been joined by Raymond of Parallel Games, and you've brought City of the Big Shoulders.
Yeah.
Why is it called City of the Big Shoulders?
Because that is that's my favorite name for Chicago, right? That's the name for Chicago as coined by Carl Sandburg.
See, as a Canadian, I was not aware of that, so I've learned a little something here.
Yeah, so Carl Sandburg was an American poet in early of the 20th century, and he was considered sort of America's literary genius at the time. He wrote Lincoln's biography, and he also wrote several poems about Chicago.
Okay, in the game, how many poems will we be writing?
We will be not writing poems.
I'm a little disappointed.
but there is a lovely Easter egg in the box cover where we've called out. But it starts hog butcher for the world, tool maker, stacker of wheat. So reading the poem, those are great resources. It's baked all throughout the game.
All right. So tell me what we will be primarily doing aside from thinking about poetry.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So you are an entrepreneur and an investor who recently come to Chicago after the Great Fire of 1871, and you only have $175 in your wallet and an idea. You want to build a great company. You want to rebuild the city. We wanted to tell the story of that Chicago's rebirth at the turn of the 20th century, and this is how you do it. So this is a heavy economic worker placement game. It plays 2 to 4 players in 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And heavy economic, just basically, if you're not familiar with some of the jargon, it's complex.
Yeah,
it's a complex game.
It's a heavy game. Yeah, it's got a lot to it. But it's also accessible. Like, we wanted to take heavy economic games like Arkwright in 1846 and bring it down to, like, the Terra Mystica, the Terraforming Mars, the Agricola level. So this is absolutely meant to be a hybrid game. This is a game that I think heavy gamers will really enjoy. And I think it's also a game that if, Terraforming Mars and Terra Mystica are your thing, and you like that economic engine building kind of feel.
This won't feel too far removed from that in terms of the complexity level.
Correct. Yep. And so there are 5 phases to the game. And there are 5 rounds or decades. After the end of the 5th decade, you kind of cash out all your shares and you try to get the most money. The goal is to make the most money at the end of the game. So on the first phase, you're going to be buying and selling stock. So I might start a company. You might decide to cross-invest in my company, and now we're kind of co-owners. There's a building phase. During the building phase, we're going to be placing these buildings out onto the board. These become action spaces. And what buildings you choose to place out is going to kind of determine how the game plays every single time you play it, because what action spaces are available are different every time. Yeah, absolutely. So it requires you to be kind of tactical with your decision making while you're playing. And it also adds.
Notice what you're saying. We could play a game and we wouldn't even see these buildings at all.
That's possible. Absolutely. Yeah, I've played games where, like, for example, these are appeal buildings, which increase basically turn order and give you bonuses and things like that. I've played games where people just throw those away. They're like, nah, I don't want anybody getting those. And so then it's like, well, how else can I get appeal? Well, maybe I invest into some capital assets. Maybe I work on bettering my company to get better managers that help me move up that track. So it requires you to kind of adjust what you're doing while you're playing.
Gotcha. Okay.
The next phase is a worker placement phase. So this works like any other worker placement game. You're going to have your partners, you're going to place them out, you're going to perform the action of the building. One thing to keep in mind about this game is everything that you do helps your opponent in some way. So in this case, I'm the green player, so I'm going here. My company would pay the green player, me, $20 to use that building. But I could also use Yellow's building. If I go use Yellow's building, then my company has to pay the Yellow player for access to the building.
So these are free for me to use?
Yeah, absolutely.
These ones are not. Neat. So we're basically building the board that we're taking our actions on as we play.
Absolutely.
Clever.
Yep.
Okay.
And then there's a big company building aspect of this as well. So for example, we brought A.G. Spalding here. So Spalding, as you may or may not know, is probably one of the largest sporting goods chains.
Spalding,
came out of Chicago during this time. So the next phase is an operating phase. During the operating phase, you're going to be buying resources. So for example, this company requires coal and livestock, a pink and a black cube in order to operate. And it must have some workers in order to actually build the goods for you. So this would then produce 2 goods, and then you would sell it out here to demand. So this is a dry goods company, so it would sell along the dry goods track. Its goods sell for $20 a piece. So if I produce 2 goods and I sell them out here, I would make $40. And then we just lop off the zero and we say I'm paying $4 a share because each company is a 10-share company.
Gotcha.
So if I own 3 shares, I
okay.
would get 3 times 4. If you own 2 shares, you would get 2 times 4.
Gotcha.
And we do that, 5 times, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most wins.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many of these different companies are there in the game?
So in the base game, there are 10 different companies. They all play completely differently, and
Yes.
they're all historically tied.
Yeah.
We also feature on the back of each of these a story about how that company came into being, and just to kind of bring the theme home of who were these companies. Some of these companies you may have heard of. A lot of these companies are companies that died out during the Great Depression.
Right. They didn't survive.
Yeah, they didn't survive. So, 10 companies in the base game, and then in the expansion we add 5 new companies.
You have quite a passion for this theme, I think, right?
I love this game.
Yeah.
I really do. It was, for me, it came about I'm a heavy gamer. I play a lot of 18xx, and I'm a member of CABS, which is the Columbus Area Board Gaming Society. It's a very big club, and we have our hardcore group of 18xx players, but there are a lot of people who they don't feel it's approachable. They don't want to sit down and play it for 4 or 5 hours. And so it's
you want
wouldn't
to kind
it be great?
of bridge that gap a little bit?
And I think everybody is kind of interested, how do these stock manipulation games work? But, they want to...
they don't necessarily want to be locked in for 5 hours.
Right, exactly. And XX is a brutal game. Your first few times you're playing it, you're probably going to lose very badly.
How brutal is this game, would you say?
I would say it's not so much.
Yeah. If you're not doing so well at the beginning, there's ways to sort of come back.
Yeah, absolutely. There are tons of bounce back opportunities. There's not a lot of cutthroatness, so we've tried to for lack of a better term, mute that, right?
Yes.
So there is an advanced game where you can kind of dump companies on other people and make it more cutthroat, but you don't have to play it that way. And actually, for your first few games, I would recommend you don't play it that way.
Right.
So we wanted to take that and make it fun for Eurogamers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm curious. How many people does this play, and how long does it take to play typically?
Yeah, so it plays 2 to 4 players. It plays in 2.5 hours, and it plays very well with 2, and it also plays very well with 4.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you so much for giving us this overview. Is this available now?
Yes, absolutely. We are in booth 1641 here at Gen Con, and we will also be at BGG-Con later this year.
And is it available in stores as well if people aren't here at the show that are watching?
We are not yet in retail distribution. We will have, not exactly, we're trying to get into retail distribution. We will have our website up, a store online here probably in September. That will be store at parallelboardgames.com, and you'll be able to order it there. If you are in Europe, talk to your store, have them order a game. We are in distribution in Europe through Quinted Games. So Quinted, we've partnered with them, and they have their own box cover. It's called Chicago 1875 in Europe, and that's how you can get it out there.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for giving us this overview.
Awesome.
I really enjoyed it. I hope you did as well.
Thank you, guys.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.